Hello, and welcome to what will be a very brief episode of Dog Talks, featuring just one dog here, Mowgli, who enjoys having his chin and belly scratched and is just going to give you something to look at as I say a few words about this whole controversy regarding objective justification or universal justification. As you were looking through some of the materials I showed you concerning that, this debate on a blog over whether or not it is proper to speak that way, I hope you picked up on something. That those who are saying it's not proper at all to speak of objective justification are doing so on the basis of what I would call an Eber-confessional sort of stance. They're over the top on their allegiance to their avowance of the Book of Concord, the Lutheran Confessions, in the sense that if they don't see something explicitly stated in those kinds of words in the Book of Concord, well, then it's not seen as proper for Lutherans to speak that way. And I think that's a misunderstanding, a mishandling of what the Book of Concord is for. It is a testimony of the Christian Church's faith that came out of the Reformation era. But as we continue in that Reformation faith in our era, we will speak as needed to whatever controversies and issues arise in our own time. So, for instance, that language of objective justification actually developed in a later period of time, not during the Reformation, and was addressing different controversies and issues that developed. But because the reformers themselves didn't speak in those terms, some of these folks will reject that kind of language. And they're also showing some problems of the very kind of logic deduction that they want to criticize others for, in the sense that they'll necessarily allow that you can say Jesus absolved the sins of the whole world, he brought forth absolution for all, or reconciled the whole world to God, because Scripture speaks in ways exactly like that they can't avoid. But they're unwilling to allow the term justified to be used in that same sense. When you think about it, the problem that they're having with the word justification, how could people be justified, that is, declared innocent, if they aren't in the end innocent and with the Lord in heaven, would be the same problem you would involve with any of the other words, such as redeem or absolve or save. If any of those words are used, they would apply in an objective sense to all people, but then in the final sense, through faith, to those who have apprehended those blessings through faith. And so that traditional distinction that we tend to make between objective and subjective justification. I don't know if this little explanation from me or this little pose from Mowgli has helped you in any way. I know that blog debate was maybe difficult for you to follow, and maybe I introduced you to something that was more than you wanted to know. But I think it's an issue we have to concern ourselves with in the church, that we seek to speak the gospel clearly with one another, but also to be patient with one another and understand each other, and not get so tightly concerned about you can't say it that way, when there is plenty of gospel work to be done in reaching out to our neighbors and saying things as best we can to communicate the message to them. Thank you for putting up with this rather upside-down version of Mowgli and Dog Talks to discuss that rather upside-down debate over objective justification.